Well, very good afternoon. Welcome once again back to Les Sables d'Olonne, the HQ of the Vendée Globe. It's 2 weeks to Christmas and at the moment in the HQ we're starting to talk about the finishes. But on the race course today in particular, we're seeing numerous boats passing through Cape Lewin fairly regularly. Charlie Dalin, meantime, is thinking about getting out of the Indian and into the Pacific. He's opened up another 100 miles or so on Sébastien Simon. Despite that, Sébastien Simon still seems pretty quick, despite the loss of his foil. My guest today is Will Harris. Will was on paternity leave on Monday. Will, how are you?
Yeah, doing very well, Andy, very well. Good to be following the fleet.
Good stuff. Anyway, we'll come back to you in a few seconds, but we got the news yesterday in the morning, I think it was, that Pip Hare had a small crack, a little fissure in the bulkhead of Midday, and this is how Pip told us the news.
I discovered that I do have a crack in the bulkhead forwards. Yeah, the crack is a concern, but not a worry, so there's nothing for anyone to worry about. We've got it under control. You know, this is part of the race. Part of the race is dealing with this stuff. We expected it to happen. We've got the tools on board to sort it out. My job is to sort it out, get things back on their feet again and get going again. So that's what I'm going to do.
And a voice message this morning from Pip confirmed that things are back under control. She has made the repair, and this was Pip this morning.
All good. I've just been and had a little look at my repair. Don't think I'm ever going to get a job as a boat builder anywhere. It's embarrassingly messy. But I think the main components of it are hanging in there. I think I just need to wait until my tech team on the shore have had their first cup of coffee, and we will exchange some photos and videos, and probably I will have the piss taken out of me a lot, and then we'll decide kind of where we go next. So yeah, I mean, I think I've done the job. I hope I've done the job, because I don't ever want to do that again. That was really hard, trying to do that while being thrown around, and I felt quite vulnerable, because up forward it's a massive open space. You know, there's nothing to hold on to, and lots of hard carbon bits to fall on. So yeah, job done. Again, just those sorts of things, they just completely wipe you out completely, because you mess up your routine. You don't eat, you don't sleep. So yeah, I was pretty tired overnight. The low pressure, another low pressure just creeping up behind me now. I'm waiting for that to kind of go over the top of me probably in the next 2 hours. Sea state is starting to slam again. So yeah, roll straight into the next one.
So there we are. Hopefully things all good on board Medallia once again. But Will Harris, that's execution for Pip is all about preparation and planning well in advance. Our team sent her a really detailed schedule of what to do.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so much of this race is about the preparation, and one thing that comes with is the spares. You know, with her technical team, she would have worked through a long list of things that she thought she would need. And in this situation, it's for repairing a bulkhead on the boat. Very typical to see that happen. And great that she's managed to repair it. But, you know, to be honest, when she's got a previous winner of the Vendée. Now, you know, the boat won the Vendée Globe in 2016, and she's added some bigger foils to it to be able to keep up with the newer generation boats now, and it's a little bit the risk that comes with these boats when you do that, because weren't necessarily initially designed for these much bigger foils. But great that she can carry on racing, and she seems to be in good spirits, and she's managed to get the job done, I think.
It doesn't have to be pretty.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. It's, you know, no one's got to see it, so long as it keeps the boat together. That's the thing to remember, and it's a really important part of actually the repairing parts of the race. You know, it doesn't matter what it looks like, it doesn't matter how messy it is, so long as it does the job and it can get you back on your way or pushing the boat at 100%, then that's all you need it to do. And it's very important that all the skippers manage to think about this when they're doing their repairs.
Great stuff. Now then, we have Alan Roura, I hope, on board Hublot, joining us live today. Alan, how are you? You look great.
Oh, thank you. I'm good. Weather condition are Indian Ocean, so it's quite weird, but yeah, I'm good. Pretty good.
How have the last few days been for you?
Well, the last hours was quite cool, actually. I've got a few hours of rest. Now there is this big depression behind me, so I need to go fast. I'll try to do a bit of north on my route. Big swell coming, and it will be about 45 knots of wind tomorrow. So yeah, it's gonna be a key moment, but I'm ready, and yeah, I mean we're used to that now on the Indian.
You get acclimatized as you get down the Indian, don't you?
Yeah, it's been a few days that we were sailing on those conditions. It's quite hard because you can't push the boat. I'm sailing about 85% of the boat. I can't push to 100%. I think we're all the same. Because when you the boat just starts to go fast at one point and you down, so you need to.
I think we may just have lost Alan Roura. Hopefully he'll come back, but Will Harris, he's pushing the boat hard, and he looks like he's quite enjoying the conditions, I think.
Yeah, I think Alan's a really impressive sailor. He's already got a couple of Vendée Globes under his belt at such a young age. I think he's only 31, and now he's taking it on with a foiling boat. It'd be really interesting to kind of hear how he compares the experience with having a much higher performing boat now. But the good thing is he's got very good spirits, and I think he's just joining us again. But maybe I can ask him how hey Alan, how you doing? How does it compare to be on a foiling boat compared to a non-foiling boat, like in the last editions of the race? Do you notice much different now you're down in the south?
You can't really rest. That's a big difference. It's really nice when the sea state is cool, but a big part of it's really tricky because you need to play a lot with the sails. You have the good sail area, not pushing too much. Yeah, it's quite hard. We are having some really easy downwind conditions, which is good for my boat, but the sea state is really terrible, so you can't really play on those conditions. I feel a bit of a difference. I think it's much harder to be on a foiling boat than on a deck board, but yeah, it's part of it. I keep learning. It's a shame that I'm far behind the others because I think I've got the speed now on the sitter boat, and I'm pushing, trying to catch up Damio. Is that far? So the race is still on.
Absolutely. I believe you broke your bed, Alan, did you?
Yeah, but I fixed it this morning. I had a moment that was like 20 knots, and I was like, that's the timing. So I just opened all my bags, put the carbon fiber everywhere, and then the boat starts to fly to 30 knots of boat speed, and I was like, with my composite, like, what the fuck? So I think it was the worst composite I've done on a boat, but it's fixed now.
Great stuff, and you just broke your all-time speed record under sail for yourself personally.
Yeah, I did 37 yesterday. That was funny. It's funny when you after it, but that was yeah. Those boats are crazy machine. I'm doing every 2 hours. I'm doing 35, but the 37 is the first time, and it's really impressive on those kind of things. Incredible. So yeah, good.
This is your third Vendée Globe. Are you still? Are you already thinking about the fourth? What you want to do? Little changes, perhaps, or is it totally focused on this race?
I mean, I try to get out of this Indian Ocean, and then we will talk about future.
Absolutely.
Moment, I just want to go on the Pacific.
Exactly, but you're doing such a fantastic job, Alan. Great to see you smiling. Great to see your energy on board Hublot, and have a great day. We'll catch you in a few days.
Thank you very much.
So there we go, Alan Roura on pretty good form, all in all, Will Harris.
Yeah, no, it's great to see Alan's spirits. He seems to get smilier throughout the race, and he is a little bit behind compared to the other foilers, but I like his spirit of he's still trying to pick off those sailors in front of him. He really wants to catch up with Damien there, and I think that's such an important part of the race. Only 40% of the way through. There's a long way to go, and a lot can still happen. So. Yeah, I really hope to see him catch up some miles, and positive sort of spirit like that will really help him.
Now, at the front of the fleet, Charlie Dalin, as I say, is looking towards the exit door out of the Indian into the Pacific in due course. But this was Charlie this morning, sounding just a little bit tired, but he gave us some great info on what it's like to lead the Vendée Globe at this stage.
When the angle seems favorable for me because I managed to went over this little like low wind area, but I haven't done any routing of the other guys today, so I would not be able to tell what would they should the how is it going to stretch or compress at the end of happened in Pacific. I'm looking a bit now, but it seems very uncertain. So I've got like 36 hours, I think, about 2 hours to 2 days to the corner of the ice zone. So that leaves me 2 days to decide what to do. What I know is I will be sailing right at the corner, and then it's pretty uncertain on the weather. The weather forecast doesn't seem really aligned on what to do after this point. So it's a mystery so far. But routing seems to be taking something like about 10 days from now to Nemo point for me, between 9 to 12 days to mid Pacific. I can definitely sail this one better, which is good. Makes a big difference. I can carry more sail in area in more wind, and it makes quite a big difference compared to my sea. It's been so intense since nearly the beginning, maybe from the South Atlantic. And I'm just trying to live by the day, do my list of things to do, like trim the boat, change sails, refin, repower, check the boat, eat, sleep. I'm living by the day, and but I'm not realizing at all that we're halfway.
So that's Charlie Dalin, the leader this morning, very much living for the moment, I think, just living in the here and now and sticking to his routine. All the time in third place, Yoann Richomme is certainly gunning for the leaders, in particular the wounded or slightly wounded Seb Simon. They used to call Armand Leclerc the Jackal, but I think perhaps Yoann Richomme has got some of that DNA in his blood, but he's certainly pushing hard at the moment. And we spoke with Yoann in the video this morning.
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, not too bad. How was the passage of Cape Lewin and since then?
It was good. We're still in the same wind, about 25 knots downwind. So it's been a quick night again. And, it's a pleasure to be near Australia. It's a long way to get here. Huh? It's a long way back as well.
But you're nearly halfway. It's incredible in a month or 5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. We're nearly halfway. We're on pretty much the record pace, or Charlie is. And the forecast is looking pretty good for the next week to 10 days in the Pacific. So, couldn't hope for much more, really.
And how's your own morale and your energy levels?
Yeah, morale is good. I'm happy where I am, lying third. Obviously, pretty much I'm third because of the option I took around that low pressure in the Indian Ocean. So now I'm going to try and crawl my way back to Seb. I feel a bit faster than him, and I'm trying to keep us. Sorry. That was a big jump. Oh my God! Launched over the waves. Trying to keep Thomas away as well. I feel a bit faster than him. I think he's got a bit lighter winds behind. He's not in such as good a condition as I am. Looking good to start. I'll not start the Pacific because it's a bit of a few more days, but
There you go, Yoann Richomme, as important as ever to keep the swearing up in the English show. But Will Harris, it's fascinating as well that he swears in English.
Yeah, that's such a good video of Yoann there. It really gives you an insight to just a few minutes of life on board. But Yoann's in great spirits there. He's pushing really hard. He's he's one of those sailors who's really thought out every little detail of the boat, and you can even see it in that chair that he's sitting in. He's bouncing up and down, and the boat's looks like it's staying level, and he's just thought about every detail of comfort and stuff like that. But yeah, these guys at the front, Yoann, Charlie, really pushing the boats to another level, and I think that's what's putting them up there at the front, really.
Draw some contrasts between Yoann and Charlie. They're very different characters. I think, you know, Charlie's probably a little bit more cerebral, and you just hear that he's processing everything. He's got his routines, and Yoann's a little bit more of an animal, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Charlie really sails the boat as purely as he can. He's really just looking at every little detail, and he's pushing his body as well as the boat as much as he can. You know, you heard him; he's quite tired in the call, and he says it's been such an intense race. And I think it's so intense is because he's bringing the intensity level up so much, and I think that's probably why he's at the front of the fleet. I think Yoann's probably sailing a bit more analytically. You know, he made a decision to try and be a bit safer and sail further north, and it did cost him a little bit in the miles, but I think he knows that he can still catch up, and there's a long way to go, and he's just taking his time and choosing his moments to attack, really.
You have to worry, or I guess that Charlie has got the experience now of having done the race before and then knowing his limits and knowing not to go too far into the red. But as you said, he sounded quite tired. Anyway, let's have a look at the big picture weather, and then will give us a little bit more detail in a few seconds. So starting this Wednesday, just looking at the back of the fleet with Shabolik, Vioris, our Hungarian skipper, is still in the lower portion of the St. Helena High, so still going quite slowly, but he's coming down into stronger breezes over the next 24 hours. The other thing to note here is Jinkun Chu, our Chinese skipper, is just on the top of this low pressure system, so he's getting into stronger breezes as well, but he's generally going quite well. The situation we're talking about for the front of the fleet is this development of this anticyclonic ridge coming up here. Just it's going to develop just potentially splitting up the fleet a little bit. So for the likes of Charal, for Jeremy Bayou, he really, and that little group there, they really have to keep the pressure on, keep going fast at the moment to watch. Otherwise, looking a little bit through the fleet, then we have a Pip Hare and this little group here, Benjamin Dutroux and Roman Atanasio. They're in this pretty decent northerly breezes just now, and that's quite good for them. The little group of four here, Boris Herrmann, Sam Davis, Clarice Kramer, and Juju, Justine Metro. So they have this high pressure system developing for them just now. They're kind of a little bit caught in it, or it's, they're certainly under threat for it. But that's a quick look at the general situation. Let's look now at the animation. So we're watching a little bit Charlie Dalin here. Now he's heading for the point, the most extreme easterly point of the exclusion zone, whereas the other two boats behind are in good breeze and doing a little bit more jibing for them. But watching how this high pressure ridge evolves behind here, we're just watching that, and that comes all the way up into the Great Australian Bight. So let's watch it. This is the kind of back to Charal and Maître-Coq. So that's where we potentially see a little bit of a cut-off evolving, and just watching how it, and then to say the group behind, that's Boris and the three girls, they're being caught by the high pressure, and there may be just a little bit of the gaps opening up, but still generally all good for Charlie, passing under Tasmania and into the Pacific Ocean. And really reasonably good conditions for him. But in general, a fairly stable situation just now at the front of the fleet, with Charlie's lead generally staying fairly steady. So let's now look at the situation for the boats towards the back of the fleet. All the time we're talking about this group up here, which probably have the best conditions for going east. Antoine Corniche, Guirec Soudé and co have had it a little bit tougher, and all the time this low pressure is starting to catch them, so they've got quite a tough 24, 36 hours for them. That's the situation generally through the fleet this Wednesday. So this high pressure system developing under Australia, this could be critical. Will you tell us all about it?
Yeah, so it's probably the next big feature in the race that's going to really influence the places or the kind of miles that the boat can gain up in the top 10. Just to explain a little bit with some slides, so you can see that high pressure to the north of the fleet, and I'm kind of identifying three different groups here. You've got Charlie, the leader, but Yoann and Seb are pretty close, and then you've got this sort of fifth or sixth place back to ninth. Back to Yannick Besteven, and then you've got a third group with Boris and Justine there as well. And basically, over the next few days, we can firstly see the high pressure. If we have a look at the next slide, we can identify that high pressure with the satellite images. You can see there's no cloud wherever that high pressure is, and that's really a nice feature for the sailors to be able to identify where there's no wind as well. Basically, high pressure, there's not much wind with it as well, but basically what we're going to see over the next few days is that high pressure is going to block the fleet roughly around where Tasmania is. So if we have a look at the next slide, in 36 hours time on Friday, we can see that high pressure slowly moving towards the east, and that's going to start blocking roughly where the fleet are. We can see the circles identifying the different groups. So Charlie will be able to stay in that nice low pressure up towards the front, and then the group of sort of 6th to 10th place are a little bit in the middle, and then Boris is and that group back there are definitely going to be caught by the high pressure. But if we look to the next slide now, if we look to what's going to happen on Sunday, so we can see the timing is everything really. That high pressure is going to be sat right around Tasmania, and it's going to be blocking with the ice gate as well. So they've got to sort of try and get ahead of the system to get into the low pressure, or you want to be a boat slightly further behind, and you're going to be catching up to those boats that are stuck in the high pressure. So really, it might be quite a defining moment of the race. Entering the Pacific Ocean, those leaders are going to be able to escape with on the back of the low pressure to the east. But any of those boats that get stuck in the high pressure, that Australian high, they're going to get caught by the boats that are riding the train from the next low pressure coming in from the west. So yeah, we'll definitely have to see where that cutoff ends up being, whether it's more towards where Nico Lundven is, or where it's more towards where Yannick and Paul are, or if they're all going to be able to get ahead of it and escape from Justine and Boris and Sam Davies and that. So yeah, interesting few days ahead.
Indeed, and this Australian high is very much a system that we see dominating in the summer in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much defined by the summer months. It's a much more prominent in the summer months, where you have a lot more sun power and everything sort of shifting further south, and that means that it blocks a lot of those big low pressure systems. It blocks them from reaching the Australian coast there. But for our sailors, when they're stuck between Australia or Tasmania and the ice gate, sometimes that high pressure can be pretty bad for them. It can mean they end up with some light winds when they're normally expecting some much stronger low pressure systems. And it's really a question of timing. And as we can see with this timing, it could split our top bunch from the bunch that's sort of slightly behind from that 7th to 10th place.
Fascinating. We'll come back to you in a few seconds. But Boris Herrmann sent us a little bit of an update, and this is all the news from on board Militia Sea Explorer.
It is a day for great change after a couple of days of straight line sailing, where we made good progress in the Indian Ocean to the east. But we had a lot of fog. It was not possible to go outside, lots of water coming over. Today I have the first light wind section in a long time, and more than a week, I guess. And that gave me the possibility to look outside, to look around the boat, to repair a few things, and to actually stick my head out and see a bit the ocean, which I really enjoyed. I managed to repair my shaver, which had broken, and I cut it open and connected the electrical wires directly to the electric motor. Really happy about that one. I managed to shave. I feel renewed. And yes, kind of a new section coming for me. Feels at least like a while of lighter wind sailing now through the night, through into tomorrow. And only slowly then we will find a new breeze from the north again, and do the next 3 days after that of reaching again towards the east. I need to look out for the ice gate tonight to not accidentally sail into there. That would be a big error. So a little vigilance there. Probably 1 or 2, 3 jibes to do. Let's see how it pans out. Maybe only 1 jibe.
So there we go. That's Boris. Well, Boris seems to be quite at peace with himself generally, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's obviously very happy there to have fixed his shaver. Must be quite an important thing to do.
So that was without consultation with yourselves and Stu, presumably.
Yeah, exactly. There was no technical assistance there whatsoever. So I'm sure he's very pleased with himself there. But no, he's in good spirit and looking ahead to the next bit of the race. And Boris has had a few issues the last few days. The foil rake ram breaking off, which has kind of hindered him a bit. But I think he's still in the boat's still going well, and just have to see how this next little section plays out. It's quite a challenging bit for these boats slightly further behind.
Indeed. Anyway, let's look at the ranking at midday today, and Charlie Dalin, as ever, on top. So looking at the rankings of this midday, well, the key thing to note is that Charlie Dalin has opened up about 100 miles on Sébastien Simon over the last 24 hours by virtue of being at the back of this low-pressure system, just being pulled forwards quite nicely in quite decent conditions, but quite difficult sea states. But as I say, it's now 315 miles between Charlie and Seb Simon. Seb Simon still going very well, considering he's lost the starboard foil, but doesn't seem to be handicapped too much. This is largely down to the weather situation between Charlie and Seb. Yoann Richomme, as we know, going quite well. He's about 100 miles behind, certainly within touch of Sébastien Simon. We know he's gunning for him. Thomas Riong, over 200 miles now behind Yo-Yo. Jeremy Bayou in 6th. Over 150, 145 miles, something like that, between Riong and Bayou. Nicola Lundvin solid in 6th, Sam Goodchild in 7th. And then looking upper table, then no big changes. Boris Herrmann in 10th. He is about 14 miles ahead of Justine, and then a little bit more of a gap now between Justine Metro and Clarice, and Sam over 100 miles, in fact, now. And looking down the table, Pip Hare, well, her pursuit is absolutely of Roman Attanasio. She's made her repairs, and there's now about 50 miles between them. So Pip's probably lost about 10 or 15 miles to Roman, but they're in good conditions to go reasonably fast at the moment. Isabel Joshkin, 19th, Alan Roura, 20th. Further down the table, Conrad Coleman in 29th. Ollie here, 32nd, Kojiro Shiraishi in 33rd, Jinkun Chu in 35th, Denis van Veenberg 37th, Shabby in 38th, and that's a ranking at midday today. So there we go. Now, Will Harris, what's your kind of overall evaluation of the Indian so far, and how does it compare to when you were there on the ocean race?
Yeah, I think what we've heard so far is it's been quite an intensive ride for the fleet. I think they've had to work really hard to stay in the right weather systems. And the other thing I think you notice is the fleet, it's pretty close together still. If we look back to the last Vendée Globe, there was 1,000 miles between first and third place at this point, and I think the race is a lot closer this time, and so they're having to work a lot harder to gain every little bit of miles. But in the last experience we had in the Indian Ocean last year in the ocean race was much calmer conditions at points. We really found some little high pressure moments to relax, and it really doesn't sound like they've had that. It sounds like it's been full on bouncing around the place, and especially with these faster and faster boats, life on board is just a lot more intense. So I'm sure that they're all looking forward to finding their next little high pressure or their next nice little sort of quieter moment in the race.
Great stuff. Now we'll talk about quieter moments. How's life with baby Jack?
Yeah, no, all's going well at home. We're managing nicely. Doing my night shifts as always, but it's a different change, and it's great to be able to follow the Vendée from home as well, and also with the new connection of Starlink to be able to see so much more insights onto how the skippers are dealing with it and how they're actually living on board. So that's been a really nice addition in this race, I think. But all good and well for us at home.
Do you think the skippers are much more connected and making use of that connection, or do you think? What's your thoughts there? Generally, obviously, Boris is one side of the coin, but I remember Girek saying at the beginning of the race that he was putting his phone away.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing with having such good connectivity offshore now. You know, on one side it can be seen as a distraction. You know, very easily being able to contact your family, friends, shore team at home very quickly and very easily. But equally, the weather is such an important thing in this race. It's so important to have every bit of data you can have available to you. In particular, satellite images, all the different grid files, looking at the waves now as well. And with this Starlink and these sorts of connections, you're now able to download whatever data you want at very high speed. And that's definitely wasn't possible even 4 years ago in the last edition of the race. So I think some of the sailors will really be, they have a much more analytical mindset. They're going to be making use of that, taking advantage of it. But I think others, they prefer to try to keep it simpler, to maybe not use the internet so much, and to stay less connected and just focus purely on the experience of being at sea. But yeah, you know, I'm sure those front runners are definitely getting every bit of weather information they can.
And in the meantime, Benjamin Ferry getting time to watch some English animal documentaries, or wildlife documentaries. Well, as ever, insightful and fascinating, great information. Do join us again. It'll be Dee on Monday, so hopefully we'll be back with her then. But in the meantime, that's all we have time for today on the Vendée Globe Live show. We'll be back once again tomorrow at 13:30 UTC, 14:30 in France. My guest will be the 1992-93 Vendée Globe winner, Alan Gauthier. So we'll see you then. Do join us.